Hey, everybody. My name is Rob Palacio. I'd like to welcome everyone to my podcast. This is my first episode, and today is May 6th, 2016. There's no specific genre of topics that this show will be confined to, so each show will probably be a little different. Um, but I can tell you that, most of the shows will probably end up being around voiceover stuff because I am a voice actor and I'm very much into the entertainment world. So a lot of other things will probably be like topics like movies, sports, things of that nature. But of course, like we can always talk about more serious topics as they come about or as I see fit to discuss. Um, I like to talk about interesting things. So, I may even have people on that I know to have a very different point of view than me, or just have a little more insight to something than I do. And so I'll try to bring those people on also as the show grows, and hopefully you enjoy it. I mean, this is really for me. This is just entertainment, and see what happens. Okay, so hopefully you guys really like the show, and we'll keep it moving. And a little about me: I'm a man in my 30s. I began my journey into voiceover a little over 2 years ago. I had some training with an organization called Such a Voice, and I mean they got great people over there. I had an awesome coach by the name of Nancy Wilson, and I mean I still have a relationship with her, and I just feel like I have a connection with her, and that's the kind of environment Such a Voice gives you while they train you, to be a voiceover talent. So if you're thinking about voiceover, that's one way to go. Get some training from the great people at Such a Voice. Let me see. I did that about 2 years ago, and recently within the last few months, I decided to pursue voiceover full time, and it's been fun. It's harder than I expected. Learning to market for yourself is very different. And I'm also a dad. I have two kids, one boy, one girl. And before all of that, I worked a regular 9 to 5. I was a regular typical guy, just trying to find my place in the world. And that's a little bit about me. All right, on to the first topic. Today, I think I want to talk about Batman v Superman. All right, I just recently saw the movie. I saw it opening weekend. I was very excited for that movie. I loved it and hated it. I'm one of those people that it fell very in between for me. So, fair disclaimer and warning, this is a spoiler-heavy review. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, or you're the type that may care about the information given, some people haven't seen the movie, but they still want to talk about it. They don't care. It's not going to change their experience. Feel free to listen in if you're one of those people that don't care. But if you care and you want to be fresh when you go see this movie, because, it's only been in theaters for a few weeks. So if you care, just go ahead and save this podcast and watch it later after you've seen it, and let's exchange ideas, after you've seen it. So, okay, spoiler heavy. You've been warned. I'm going to talk about things that have happened in this movie. All right? 1, 2, 3. All right, if you're listening, you're on your own now. All right? Where do I start with this movie and Zack Snyder? Okay, I'll start here. I love the setup of Man of Steel. I think a lot of people don't understand how this movie was set up, or how this character of Superman was set up. It's a very different Superman. All right, this is a younger Superman in terms of experience. He's very unpolished. Superman just came into his powers, right? By the time we see Superman in Metropolis and everything that happened in Metropolis, that was a very, he had just came into his powers. And by the time you get to Batman v Superman, it had only been 18 months. So this is a man who grew up as a human being, who just kind of learned up about himself and who he is and his powers at the age of, I think he's supposed to be like 30, 33, something like that. Instead of like the Christopher Reeves version, who found out about himself from a young age and had, the Fortress of Solitude and all these references of who he was as a Kryptonian and his responsibilities, or what was supposed to be his responsibilities. So Christopher Reeve's Superman had time to grow into this role by the time he became, a man in his 30s. And so you get a very different, more polished, more careful Superman who was able to embrace both sides of the coin better in the Christopher Reeves telling of it. This Henry Cavill version, I mean, he doesn't really know. So there's this big human element. So he doesn't know to be careful. And this is This is the part where people go, oh, Superman wouldn't have allowed for such destruction in Metropolis. It's too much. It's too much. Superman wouldn't have done this or done that. This is a guy learning. He's in his learning curve. So I think if you go in with that appreciation of it, you'll probably enjoy Man of Steel better. And even the role of Pa Kent, which was beautifully played by Kevin Costner, that was a little bit of a different role, right? Because he didn't just, like coach him like the old Pa Kent did. He literally said, you're going to have to make these hard decisions, right? You're going to have to, pick and choose when you decide it's okay to expose yourself to the world. Even in the instance where he saved those kids from drowning, and he asked, should I just let them drown? And I remember like kind of being thrown back when Pa Kent said maybe, and I was like, whoa, what do you mean maybe? And it's like, it's a bigger cost. You have to always think about consequence. And this was a very different role, and I thought it was a very important role. And I'm glad they got somebody as seasoned as Kevin Costner to play it, because you really kind of get attached to that, right? And even when he died, he rather sacrifice his life than sacrifice his son or put the world in peril almost, because as soon as you find out there's an alien such as Superman on the world, things change. So he said, I'd rather die than to let this happen right now. And so there was that connection. So you experience this Clark Kent, this Superman who doesn't know his place in the world even, right? And Man of Steel really takes you through that journey. Now, it does have a chaotic ending, right? We know that, right? There's all this damage to the city. There's even the death of Zod, which people go, oh, Superman doesn't kill and whatever. Maybe, again, like the evolution of Superman, maybe because he had to witness his dad's death, and that was that sacrifice. And these mistakes that have been made early, and because he felt he was forced into stopping Zod by snapping his neck. Maybe at some point, all these things start to add up, and he decides the man he wants to be, and he decides, I'm going to hold back. I'm not going to kill. I'm going to be careful. I'm going to, be that Superman that we've known through the comics and through Christopher Reeve's interpretation of it, or, those types of things. And maybe we're just not there yet. And I don't know, because eventually I would like to get there, but I don't know where the story is going. But that's the kind of appreciation I'm taking from Man of Steel, and that's why I actually love it and think it's the best version of Man of Steel that we've seen. I thought that movie was masterful, and I love Zack Snyder for it. There were questions like, you can't just have all that destruction and not have to, have some sort of like repercussion because of it. We have to talk about that, right? And whether it was going to be Man of Steel 2 or whatever this is, and that's what Batman v Superman is about, And I mean, I kind of, jumped at the moon when I found out that was going to be addressed, right? And that's kind of the reason why Batman had real issues with Superman. So, jumping into Batman v Superman, I like that they didn't take forever to explain about the Wayne family murder. We've seen this over and over again. I've seen reviews about it where everybody's like, oh, thank God they didn't take forever on this, because we know the story, right? We know the Wayne family goes to some sort of movie theater or opera or whatever, and they get shot down in the alley, blah, blah, blah. But the different thing is they had Thomas Wayne utter his wife's name as he died, Martha. And I said, that's going to be important for some reason. It never dawned on me, and I had to make phone calls after I left the theater. Hey, man, did you know Superman and Batman, both your mom's names is Martha? And everybody was like, I know that both names are Martha, but I never thought about it. It never, was a thing to like say, hey, they both have mom's name Martha. That's cool or whatever. So that was a weird angle for them to play. And I don't know if I like that so much. I really don't. I don't know. I'm still kind of like, that was cheap in such a sense, but I'm glad they didn't take forever with it. I actually feel like, hell, it could have been even shorter a little bit, like there were great visuals, the whole Pearl, breaking and the gun and all that, firing and, great visual stuff. But I felt like they could have cut that a little bit even more. And, it still would have been a great scene. We would have still got the purpose of it, but thank you for not, dragging us through that story again. Bruce Wayne's point of view of the end of Man of Steel. I mean, that was intense, right? Him running through the city, seeing his building toppled, seeing Superman fighting Zod, and just that anger. Ben Affleck is amazing. He's an amazing actor. And to show that rage and that anger, and, everybody said, oh my God, like, what is this dude running towards this falling building? People run away from falling buildings, right? And he ran towards it. And you just see how upset he is, and it's literally Batman waiting 18 months to go handle Superman. And I mean, that's really intense, right? So, I mean, I was on board with that. I thought that was amazing how they recreated that, how they made that happen. And from Ben Affleck, we get an angrier, older, sort of a basket case, violent Batman. What happened? Why is he like that? I mean, this interpretation of Batman is he's like the boogeyman, right? Like he kind of strikes fear in people's hearts. He's very dark. Even the costume is a darker, grittier setup. I mean, he's all beefy and big, and I mean, he was branding people. How did we get to that point, right? Because that's not who Batman is. Batman is, he's always been on the edge, and always dark. But this dude is crazy, right? I mean, for all intents and purposes. And I mean, I'm just wondering, they have to tell that story, right? How did we get to this version of Batman? What happened? You see the Robin costume. What happened with that? Which version of Robin is that? And I want to see what goes on with that, especially that we know Jared Leto, or Leo, however you pronounce his name, is going to be the Joker. But this kind of, and from what I've been told, Suicide Squad happens after the events of Batman v Superman. So, I mean, I don't know, is this a younger Joker? Like, what are we talking about? This can't be the same Joker from before, because also Batman references the city of Gotham has already dealt with clowns before. So at some point, the issue of the Joker had been resolved in his eyes. So is Joker not around in prison? Is he dead? Or, so who is this Jared Leto Joker? We need to figure that out. So I'm excited about that, to see where they take that. I like how they set up Batman's view of why Superman had to go, or why Superman was a threat. Just seeing the damage he caused, or not knowing exactly what side he was on, and having that anger of whatever he's been through personally, on top of losing these people that worked for him, and just being angry about that. But on the flip side of things, they really sucked at setting up Superman. Henry Cavill is a great actor, and I thought he played an awesome Superman. I remember the first time I saw him as Superman, I was like, I don't know about this guy. By the time Man of Steel came out, I said, you know what? I like this take on Superman. I like how he looks. I like, the way that they presented him. I wasn't sure about him as Clark Kent, but, I'm okay with it. When you really look at Christopher Reeves and who Christopher Reeves was in terms of like stature and whatever, I mean, Christopher Reeves was probably about 6'4" or so. And he was like that version of like chiseled and beefed up for, the 70s and 80s. He was a big dude if you really look at him. Even when he was dressed as Clark Kent, he was bigger than everybody else. So Henry Cavill is bigger than everybody else when you look at him, like in comparison on screen, everybody else is kind of like, man, like that's not a regular dude. Like, he's a guy that lift weights and whatnot. But, I thought it's a fair interpretation and I'm okay with it. But this version of Superman, at least in Batman v Superman, he was all depressed and somber and he felt really contained. He wasn't ever really Superman. I know they showed scenes of him saving things and saving people and, doing his Superman thing, but it didn't feel like Superman. It just kind of felt like, I know that they were trying to show that he was going through a lot, and that's cool, but I just felt that, I don't know. I just didn't feel like that was the Superman I needed at that moment in time. And I felt like there were some really big character flaws with him. And I think that has more to do about the writing. I thought the writing was a little off with the story. I'm going to jump around a little bit, but Superman, after the fight scene with Batman, if you're a fan of the comic, you know how that ends. But Superman ends up trusting Batman to go save his mom. After the Martha scene, this is where that comes into play, which to me, it just made Batman seem even more crazy. He's like, why did you say that name? Martha! So it's kind of like, I don't know, like that can't be the reason why that fight stops, because he says, go save Martha. And like, why would he say, go save Martha? Why wouldn't he say, okay, if you're going to kill me, please go save my mom. Like if you're not going to let me go save my mom, because that's what this is about. Instead, he says, go save Martha. That as from a human perspective, it didn't come off right to me. But he ends up trusting Batman, who he thinks is a dangerous vigilante, They never interpret Batman as this hero who's done great things, positive things, but happens to hurt these criminals, right? Every time Clark Kent has spoken about Batman, when he was speaking to Perry White, he said, this vigilante who's hurting people, and he's like referring to him as him not being a hero of any sort. But you trust this guy who just spared your life, who just beat you down to go save your mother, right? When that doesn't make sense, even if the plan made sense, like, okay, there's this alien threat, you go handle that, you're more equipped to do that. I'll go get your mother. I'll make you this promise, let me go get your mother, right? Because we're like super bros now because your mom's name is Martha and my mom's name is Martha. It doesn't make sense for the character that they've built up, right? Because you see Superman in this movie fly all the way to Africa to go save Lois. You see him go nuts to beat up Zod when when his mom was threatened. And we actually even see him in Batman v Superman leave the fight. He leaves Batman and Wonder Woman with Doomsday to go save Lois from drowning. So the fact that he would actually just, let Batman go save his mom because he says, can I make you a promise Martha's not going to die tonight? Okay, no problem. You wouldn't trust that, right? That's not in his character. That's not what you've shown us for 2 movies. So, when that happened, I was kind of like, I don't like that. I thought that was very poor writing. You got to give me more, and the whole reason that when that fight happened, I mean, visually, it looks amazing, right? You get the Batman you've always wanted in terms of what you see visually. You get that suit, you get the voice, you get the gravelly voice, the behavior, even the way he was talking, Ben Affleck really pulled this off. But you don't feel connected. You feel connected maybe from Batman's side, but you don't feel like this is really a fight because Superman, from the time he got there, it's like, hey, Bruce, let's talk. I need to talk to you. No, like they should get there and it should be like, Batman, I'm doing this. And Superman, well, that's not cool. And we just gonna have to, we're gonna have to throw him. It's gonna be a problem. That's what I wanted. These two people, we were promised, you were sold in these trailers that both these characters that we know and love have different ideologies on how to handle their business. And we didn't get that. Instead, we got Batman who thinks Superman's a problem, and we get Superman who's been manipulated and just wants to save dear old mom. I mean, Superman's not an evil person, so he's just not going to run up and say, I'm just going to kill this guy. Hey, Bruce, we need to talk. So what kind of fight are we going to get? We're not going to get that slugfest that we wanted. We just got people that kind of had, Batman, had that temper, but Superman was just kind of doing what he had to do to get through it, right? When it comes to Ben Affleck, I didn't know. When he got casted, I had the biggest issue with him being Batman, and I guess some of it stems from the Daredevil days or whatever, or just not believing he could pull off the role. And obviously there were petitions and there were things all over the internet and whatever, but like I said, he just was amazing. But also, this is a very different take on Batman. This is an older, disgruntled, angry Batman, and so therefore it gave that character, Bruce Wayne, and it gave Batman this range of emotion, which played in Affleck's favor because, he's a world-class actor. So when you add all those drama elements to it, he pulls off these scenes in amazing fashion, right? And so it works. But if you take a younger Batman, like if they do this, the Batman movie that they're calling it, and it's a younger Batman in his 30s, early 30s, and there's not so much range because Robin hasn't died and whatever events that made him who he is now hasn't happened yet, can he pull that off also? If he's playing a version like Christian Bale's Batman or Michael Keaton's Batman, what kind of Batman would Ben Affleck be able to do? Are we going to feel the same way? That's the question I want answered. I know if he plays an older Batman going forward, if the Suicide Squad, well, yeah, he's in Suicide Squad also, but if the Justice League Batman is continuing to be in his 40s and going up, we know he can do that. But anything going backwards, what are we going to get? Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I'm not really up on Jesse Eisenberg that much. I mean, the most I know about Jesse Eisenberg is he was in the movie Rio. He was blue. So every time he spoke, I heard that bird. You know what I mean? So what bothered me about him, though, was not his voice. It wasn't his acting per se, even though some people had complaints about that, saying he was like a mix of the Riddler and Joker combined and not a Lex Luthor, you know, I think they were going for a more millennial version of Luthor, not the business savvy, and maybe he gets there. I don't know, you know, more of that computer nerdy guy that comes from a family of wealth and just kind of inherited these things, and he happens to be super smart. You want to see that menacing business, very shrewd business guy, kind of almost a counter or anti Bruce Wayne almost, right? At some point. And I don't know if Jesse Eisenberg as a human being can pull that off. I'm not even talking about his acting chops. I just don't think he can demand that sort of energy or space. We'll see. So maybe they have to keep going with this other role. There's rumors that says because he's playing Alexander Luthor Jr. that he's not even going to be the Lex Luthor of that we all wanted, that there's actually going to be another casting, and there's actually going to be, an older actor that actually plays that Lex Luthor. And this is simply, Jesse Eisenberg's character is simply a junior in this whole thing that just kind of kicks off everything. But even so, like, his motivations seem weird. He has these daddy issues, obviously. He has his grandpa issues, obviously. And he has these God issues, right? I mean, that's his issue with Superman. Superman is interpreted to be a god. And so he doesn't trust God. He goes through all these rants about, God not being there for him, and that's why he has a problem with Superman and all these things, right? So he wants to be the person that conquers a god, right? And he answers this by creating Doomsday. And I don't know how his DNA, which is just totally human and weaker, combined with Kryptonian DNA from Zod, creates this mega being that's almost more stronger than, Superman or as strong. Like, I don't know, like if you take something strong and water it down, do you get stronger? I mean, take juice and water, add more water. I don't think it tastes more like juice, or, put a bunch of ice and liquor. After a while, liquor tastes like water. I don't know. It's just, it got kind of weird. And if that was going to be the case, you have to explain to me more how this works, right? And then, he fools the computer with fake fingerprints, and the computer says it's forbidden to, mix this DNA and whatever. And because he just says, well, the Kryptonians aren't around, it's cool. The computer says, yeah, it's okay, it's cool. It just doesn't make sense, right? And the way the computer even talks to him, like, oh, hey, General Zod, you're here, blah, blah, blah. Would you like to know the history of, Krypton, or 100,000 words or whatever they said? If you think you're General Zod, why would you offer that information? Because he would already know, right? So it doesn't make sense. So these are all like little cinema sins that just didn't add up, that they were trying to tell this story. And again, this has to do with the writing. So this is not the Lex Luthor that we know to be smart, that wants power, that wants control, because they allude to later on in the movie that he's called some higher entity, we can all guess who those entities are, and this is going to play into the Justice League and what happens throughout. But these are things that he can't control. So why would he be interested in contacting these people? It just doesn't make sense to me. And then the whole, last scene of Batman v Superman, the fight between Batman and Superman, and then the situation with Doomsday, this all happens within the same night. I don't know, a couple minutes of each other, a couple hours of each other. That's how they pass it off, right? This is not like, this happened with Batman v Superman, time goes by, and then this whole situation with Lex Luthor and Doomsday happens. This all happens in the same time frame, and I felt a little, like it was crammed for me. You know what I mean? Like, instead of making it seem like day and night has gone by or something. And these are probably minor things, but for me, it just felt like this is too much, for me. And I just felt like, again, the writing was slightly lazy, so I kind of felt like I got the movie that I wanted, but not really. All in all, I mean, Batman v Superman looks amazing. It had a lot of great qualities, and I'm still excited for Justice League. When Justice League comes out, I'll be there opening night. I will, I think the way that they introduced or did the little cameos of everybody. I mean, Wonder Woman was great. Gal Gadot, She was good. She was pleasant. I like the way that they had her fight, and she wasn't like all in the movie. And she just kind of showed up, and she played like little roles. I was okay with that, but I don't know if I like that she was kind of the one that stumbled onto the Justice League, or the Justice League members. How Lex Luthor had time for his graphic arts team to go ahead and make logos for each people, each character or whatever. Like, that seemed a little over the top, rather than like maybe do something like a memo. Like, here's this girl with pictures through history. I wonder who she is. Here's this guy, in the water, so he just kind of like writes a little note that says Aquaman because he's in the water. Like something like, do something a little more normal. Don't give me a logo because nobody would do that. Like there's a cyborg logo on the movie file. Like, come on now, are you for real? So I mean, those are, again, little things that I'm just picking at, but I just felt like you gotta write this stuff better than that, and the cameos or whatever, and we'll see how it all links up in the end. I didn't want to see the death of Superman yet. I didn't. I didn't. I don't even know this Superman. His death, a character like Superman, an American hero. I mean, do you all remember how we loved Christopher Reeves? When Christopher Reeves in real life broke his back, we were all like, Superman broke his back. Oh my God, that can't happen. We didn't say actor Christopher Reeves. We said Superman. This man was a part of our history because of the character he played. And I don't feel that connection to Henry Cavill because he's not that Superman yet. That's not his fault. That's not the story being told yet. So I didn't feel connected to this whole death of Superman thing again. And we've seen that so many times. Like, this is a new universe. You just gave us this Superman. You're showing us his Genesis stage, and he went through that in the first movie. And then 18 months have gone by, and you've seen him in this somber state and doesn't really do too much. And then you kill him. And I'm supposed to feel something? I mean, we need a few movies. We need some time to grow with this character. We need to see him go through his journeys. We need to be connected to the Superman. Whether we get a Man of Steel 2 or after we have a Justice League 1 and 2, I don't know. But to actually kill Superman, I mean, if you injured him or whatever, maybe something else, but you killed him, and I just was kind of like, okay. And then on top of that, I know Justice League's coming, so he has to be in that. So I know he's not going to stay dead. So when you actually killed him at that point in time, I was like, here we go. Okay. When does Justice League come out? Because I'm going to see Henry Cavill Superman, So I don't know. But on top of that, because they didn't bring him back in this movie, I don't want to see a Justice League movie that's going to be like Finding Nemo or Saving Private Ryan, and spend a good amount of portion of that movie trying to get the Superman we want to see back. I don't want that. I'm pretty sure, watch, it's going to be like he came back, but he's not, who he is, like, or he doesn't have his memory, or he's angry or whatever. And watch him be like either the villain or a problem, like the first half of the movie. And then some kind of way, he comes back to us as the guy we all know and love, or something like that. Or he like runs off and he's like unconfident and they got to, hey, Clark, come on, man. You got to come back and be Superman. We need you. We got this problem now. Come on, man. Don't be like that. I don't want to see that. I hope they don't do that, and we'll see. I don't know. I haven't seen the script. I'm just a guy. I'm just telling you, like, it looks like this is where this is going. But all in all, Batman v Superman is like, for me, it's like that hot girl you just met, right? You got her number. The phone calls are great. The dates are awesome. I mean, hell, the sex is great, right? It's all too perfect. You think amazing things are going to happen, and right before you ask for that full commitment, she says, hey, I think it's best if we be platonic friends. Yeah, right? You're crushed, right? I mean, there's so many possibilities. It's like it's all you ever wanted. It's what you've like always dreamed of. Here's your opportunity, and you're just let down because you like almost got there. You almost got the thing that you wanted. And that's how this movie feels. It feels like it was like the perfect setup. It was coming. You see the costumes, you see the pictures, you saw the trailers. The trailers were amazing for months and months and months. They gave us these trailers and you're like, oh man, this is going to be it. This is going to be it. And for that reason, this movie was very hard to enjoy, and I enjoyed it in parts and, through the minutes of the movie, you know, as it rolled, I was like, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. I didn't like that part, but this is coming. And then something would happen. And I'm like, oh, that looks really great, you know, or whatever. I mean, I don't know. At times you know, thinking back in retrospect, at times I'm like, I wish this movie never happened. I wish we were still waiting on this movie, you know, and things would be better or whatever. Because I just didn't get what I wanted, you know, all the way. But in a sense, I did. And it's very conflicting. I knew something was wrong. When they said, you know, the WB execs gave their own standing ovation at their movie. You know, they got to see the movie, what was it, like a month earlier or whatever. And they gave a standing O. I don't see Marvel doing that. I don't see them doing that with Civil War. I don't see anybody else doing that with their movies. You know, if anything, if they're really confident with their movie, like how Marvel is with Civil War, they actually let people view it early. You know, there's been critics that have already seen Civil War. I actually know one or two people that have already seen Civil War. And I'm going to see it over opening night, which is tomorrow. But I don't know. In either case, I'm still on board with what's going on in DC. I'm excited for Justice League. I'm curious about Wonder Woman at this point. I don't know if that's going to be my cup of tea. We'll see. I don't know. Look, that explains it. The fact that I'm lost for words at this point explains how I feel about this movie. Anyway, thanks for listening. This is Rob Palacio. And if you want to reach me, questions, comments, ideas, chat about something, whatever, hit me up. I'd love to hear from you. robvoiceover@gmail.com. That's robvoiceover@gmail.com. Until next time, people, I'm out.